Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to talk about the inner child, and I will start right away. As you know, I don't like fluff. Let's get into it immediately. So, what is the inner child? Inner child is that part of our mind which stores all the emotional experiences from childhood. We all have that because we all have in the age of 0 to 7 when we did not understand everything that was happening around us. We reacted to things that were happening around us. And from the point of view of our egocentric inner child, because the child between 0 and 7 is the individual who thinks that the world revolves around them. So that's why we have very often, almost always, accumulated emotions which are a kind of a trigger and which are kind of a stumble or a hurdle in our relationships as adults, because we react very often impulsively with those emotions. So it might sound a little bit too complicated, but I will explain it. We use those lenses from the childhood or a filter through which we see life in present moment unknowingly. And what do I mean by that? I will give you an example which I've given you before, but because it's very strong, the memory and everything in my mind with this client, I wrote a book about it. That's why I would like to give it to you again. So imagine the little Jocelyn whose parents had a jewelry store in a country in Europe. And they were selling all that expensive jewelry, and they had workers who worked in the store. They also worked on watches. I don't know what else they were doing. Were they producing jewelry themselves? I'm not very clear on that. So little Jocelyn was 4 years old when she started helping her parents in the store. Which is great, right? A lot of fun for the little girl. And her parents, her father especially, who owned the store, he told her that in order for you to sell, you have to put a poker face. And this is great, right? It's a game for the child. And she started practicing putting that poker face at this age, and but nobody ever told her that as soon as this poker face goes, as soon as you leave the store, you have to take it off because you need to communicate with other people, and they have to be able to understand your emotions. They have to be able to connect with you. So it was easier to sell with a poker face because nobody was supposed to know what she thinks, how she feels. And this way she started getting successful in selling. At the age of 11, excuse me, she already sold a very expensive watch, which was over $100,000. And we are talking about 1970s. So she found out that the poker face is very profitable. It brings a lot of pride. It brings a lot of money, and why not using it? In result, throughout life, she never had friends. Or it was only one way. The friends wanted to be with her, but she did not want to be with them. Or she did not how to uncover herself and share emotions and share personal experiences where she's vulnerable, and that's why she was losing, including her boyfriends, one after the other, because in her mind, everything was business. When she has in a relationship, that was business too, and it was managed by the money. So shortly, this is the story. I got to this client when she was at 60 and she was going through a final stage of cancer, colon cancer, and we could not get this poker face off of her face to the end. We didn't have much time either, but I just wanted to give you an example how inner child emotions or inner child understanding of life can impact your life to the age of 60 in this case. So what is happening? What is happening is the information stored as emotions in the body, in the mind, contributes to our reactions in our relationships, in our business relationships, because these are also personal relationships. In a relationship, in relation to our healing as well. And in this case, how did that work? Because she believed that she has to constantly work very hard, sleep only 3 or 4 hours a day, make her father happy, as a very successful businesswoman, and her focus was only on business. When the time came for us to teach her to sleep longer than 3 or 4 hours at night, that was against her beliefs, against her emotional frame. And as a matter of fact, she thought that as the coaches around her, we were lazy because we were sleeping 8 to 10 hours a night. So you see how the beliefs are on the way to healing. So this poker face played a role in the entire life, because she was with it every time she had a human being around her. And when we were trying to tell her that this is something like the little Jocelyn understood then in a wrong way, and now the grown-up Jocelyn has to deal with, she wasn't very much convinced that she should change that. And I'm pretty sure that it will impact her health in a positive way in a long run. Maybe we could have extend her lifespan. We could have, through the healing of that inner child. So that's what is happening. I know this example is very drastic, but I hope you understand well what is actually happening in the human body physically after we have this emotional experience, because the physical body always follows the emotional body, the emotional experience, our mind, our spirit, and it just shows and demonstrates how we feel inside. And through diseases, yes, it shows that we are actually sick. And if you work on your emotions, your inner child, that can improve also the condition of your physical body. So how do we do that? How do we work to improve this? First of all, we are doing our best to be authentic self, not to be mad or unhappy or judgmental or diminishing when we have those weird reactions which even us we don't understand. And then through awareness that those reactions are weird, we start observing the reactions, observing the final consequences from our reactions, what happens with our relationships, and then we can work on them. The inner child is a wounded self, you have to understand, and it's not your fault that it's wounded. You have to also understand that it's wounded because we did not know that those emotions are through the lenses of our experience as a child from 0 to 7, which is different emotional experience comparing to adults. So these are very often habitual reactions, like the reactions of this client I told you. It's habitual that she was sleeping only 3 or 4 times a day because of her belief that she has to please her father, show him through life that she is the better businesswoman than comparing to her sister, that she can do anything, which is great, but she kind of misunderstood that conception. Also, I don't know for what reason, but she always wanted to kill the other businesses. That brought into her soul even more negative emotions. So the healing, the physical healing of our body from chronic health condition is directly dependent on the healing of that inner child. That can lead also to depression, for instance. And again, what do we do in order to heal? First of all, we have to identify which parts of us or our reactions relate to the inner child or react as a child, the child we were. Then we should reflect on those childhood experiences. We should observe them. What I'm doing with the clients very often is called timeline. In the timeline, it's a method, it's a lot of fun actually. The therapist puts you in an imaginary balloon and brings you up, and you see the past and the future. And very interestingly, you have emotional experiences. And we override those emotional experiences when they're negative with positive emotional experiences. Then you can seek support with a therapist that they do only this. They work with the inner child, inner emotions, trapped emotions, trauma, all somatic experiences, not only from childhood, but from your teens and other periods of your life. And then we need to soothe that inner child. We need to understand. We need to give it some space. We need to be like the mother to her child to say, it's all right, I embrace you. I understand that you didn't know that this is a wrong reaction. I understand that you didn't know that this is a wrong emotion. And I embrace you, I love you, I allow you to be part of myself. But I will be working on not to react as you anymore because I'm a grown up, right? So And if you cannot do all these things alone, or with the coach you're working out, I suggest you seek support. So, what questions should we answer ourselves in order when we observe the inner child? First of all, how do I feel in the situation where I react in a wrong way? Very often it happens to many of us that we snap to people because somebody did it to us, and we learned that that's the way to react in certain instances. So observing of the emotion, locating of the emotion, putting a color on the emotion, putting a shape on the emotion is very important, because then we are not in a fighting or ignoring mode anymore with this emotion. As soon as your inner child is understood, it can start leaving you alone, and you will see how your reactions will change. I'm not saying that it's an overnight thing to do, but yes, it happens quite fast when you focus and put your mind into it. So we also have to answer the question, what kind of messages I receive about safety, love, because of those experiences. When kids are very young, they don't really make a difference between many variety of emotions. They just want to be loved, and this is the emotion they're searching for. They do anything to draw your attention for some love. Of course, love can be shown through protection, when sometimes parents are really strict, and it can be, how to say, by the child, it can be interpreted in a wrong way. Love can be shown as a hug in many, many ways. There are different types of archetypes and different types of love. Another question which we should answer is, did this experience help me feel important in this experience? So, as the little girl, the example I gave you, yes, she felt very important, because later on in life, as a teenager, her father left her as the boss when he was not there. And she was a teenager, but she had to be the boss of the adults. So this made it possible for her to grow very fast. She started going to spas to make her hair so she looks older, to do her nails and stuff like that, so she can be at the level of the adults she was managing. Another thing is, did I feel I matter to the grown-ups? Very important, again. The emotions of the others, of the coming from the environment to the child, are the ones that make them feel or not feel if they're grown up, if they are equal in status, and etc. And another question is, what did I need in this moment? When you recall that moment, when that emotion trapped in you, the chances that you don't remember 100% correct what exactly happened are great, and I'll tell you in a minute why. But you had the emotion if you felt appreciated, if you felt one of the group with equal status. Now, as a child, you didn't know that, but now as an adult, you have to explore that moment and answer yourself to this question. So, what can you do about healing the inner child? Well, practicing hugging, even just in your mind, hugging yourself, affirmations of love towards yourself. A lot of people write journals. Journals work very, very well. You can also ask your partner for a hug, the people around you, and you can talk to that inner child. How do you feel today? I reacted again like you. Do you think that that was a good idea? What was the consequence in my relationship with that person to whom I reacted as my 7 years old? So this is all part of becoming conscious and observing our inner world, our emotions, using your triggers as guides. For instance, I know every time when my buttons are pressed, and before reacting, I know that I have to count to 10 to slow down the process, put a little bit of reflection into this process, and then maybe not reacting, because I'm aware that that button was pushed and the inner child in me is ready to jump, is ready to react, and not always in a very nice way. In the post below, I wrote that people make one mistake while neglecting the impact of the inner child in their lives, is dismissing or ignoring the emotional needs and wounds from their past. We do all have those emotional needs, and we should respect them, and we should work on them. The more we clean, the better it will be for our well-being. And here I'm going to tell you one technique for cleaning, which is very easy. It's called Ho'oponopono. It comes from Hawaii. The founder of this technique is not alive anymore, but he left us the technique, which is telling yourself either out loud or inside of your mind, thank you. Thank you for the understanding of how I feel, which is not always right and politically correct, but thank you. That's the way I feel. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I hurt unknowingly someone. I'm sorry if I've done something which did not go so well with other people in my relationships. I love you. I love you is towards life. I love you because of the opportunity to be myself. Thank you. I'm sorry, and please forgive me for anything I misunderstood, for anything I misinterpret and took a decision with a wrong interpretation. I'm sorry, and please forgive me. So these are the 4 sentences which you can say in any way as you wish. I used to practice them a lot in Montreal, where I was spending a lot of hours in traffic, like driving from gym to gym to do my clients, and very often I would feel quite frustrated that I spend my life on the road, and I was okay, now relax and thank you, please forgive me, I'm sorry, I love you. 4 sentences, and I had instant relief after saying all those sentences. So the mistakes often lie in a denial or suppression. Suppression in the long term is not going to work. It's unfortunate, but when we have those unfavorable emotions in us, they're just boiling and they're expanding and expanding until one day we react in a very wrong way towards a person we're not supposed to, and this is wrong. This denial and suppression can lead to unresolved issues and a lot of emotional patterns that persist into adulthood. You know, they say that people develop emotionally up to the age of 12. Yeah, that's what the research says. And then we develop in terms of mind, information, and all that. But by the age of 12, we learn the main emotions. We experience them, we know about them, and we don't really work on it anymore. At least not consciously. Another thing is minimizing the importance. There might be a tendency to downplay the significance of childhood experiences while assuming that they have little impact or no impact on present-day emotions and behaviors. I must tell you that if you ask a coach to analyze your behavior in a stretch of 1 hour, you will see that a lot will come out as emotions that are probably stored as a child. And then we have a lot of people who avoid of healing. They want to fix the problem, but fixing is not really working. You can fix a car, but you have to heal the person. And when I studied holistic coaching, they told us, you don't heal the disease, you heal the person, and then the body will take care of itself. And to that day, with my experience, I can confirm that yes, that's what it is. You heal the person. So that's why I'm discussing childhood with my clients. I even joke, I don't have children on my own, but I have more children than people with children, because mine are hundreds. So these are the main things I wanted to address today. There isn't one way of dealing with the inner child. There isn't one way to put it into perspective or put it into A, B, C, D, what to do, because every person had different experience. And you have to work with your own therapist or with yourself and find out what is your pathway of healing, how you should observe yourself, and what do you want to achieve finally. Yeah, this is our life for today. If you have any questions, it could be quite, I wouldn't say complicated, maybe convoluted. You can call me and let's discuss that. Thank you very much for listening.
Join our Healthy and Community Facebook group. If you have any questions, please free to comment below. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for more.